Good afternoon. I hope you can all hear me because I don't know if I can trust my mic anymore. Sometimes it works, and then other times it doesn't work, the kind that you do through Bluetooth. Um, but I think this will work well enough if I speak loud enough and I have the volume up enough on my phone. I just wanted to make a short video, fairly short video about um, solitude. Um, I had been thinking, that there are people that lost their beloved like I have and have been used all for half my life being with Richard. But we were both enjoyed our solitude. We were together, but we also enjoyed our solitude. And we lived a life like in as a recluse, both of us. We were recluses. The the cabin, our life here on the ranch was our sanctuary. And there was a time when we did used to socialize with some of his friends, but I remember even when we were a lot younger and some of his friends would come over and they'd stay over, and I know there were times when Richard enjoyed it, and we both, had fun, meeting with his friends, Mike Gray and Susan Gray, and some of his friends. But I also know when, as we got older, if anybody dropped by and was hanging around, it was almost like, okay, that was nice, but we kind of, it was like a relief. It's like, okay, now we got our sanctuary back. And I just want to say, don't let anybody make you feel, if you're 60 and over or 70 over, and pressure from friends or pressure from family, oh, you need to meet someone, it's time for you to get out and meet someone. Well, I can tell you right now, and people will say, well, it's only been 5 months since, your loved one has died, but in a year from now, you might feel differently about meeting someone. And I can just say right out, flat out, no, with a capital N-O, no. Richard was my one and only, period. I am not at all interested in having a boyfriend or meeting anybody in that respect. I am just kind of going on with my life the way it was with him, because we both lived a quiet, peaceful life here. And the thing that I miss most is his presence. That's what I miss. But we could be together and not say one word. He could be in the room, he could be reading something, I could be doing something on with my poetry or whatever, and that was our way of sharing our lives together. That we didn't have to keep talking to one another, we didn't have to have friends over, we didn't have to, be occupied, we didn't have to go here and we didn't have to go there. We just lived a very quiet life, and this was our refuge. This was our sanctuary here, and we weren't. If there was anybody that came into our lives that was loud and noisy, and it just felt like a big drain on our energy. And so I'm just here. It's my time, my afternoon wine here, and I've been thinking about. Yes, it's been painful to be without Richard. Every single day since he died, I have cried. There's not a day that goes by. Usually it hits me pretty hard in the mornings and in the evenings. During the day, I find little things to do to keep me, where I find the peacefulness of the solitude and find something creative to, even with the grieving, I take that grieving and I try to create something from it, which is my poetry. I've been writing poems for Richard. And I'm with my dog. I take, walks with him. I sit out you know, I have a chair outside on a little deck. I made videos out there and overlooking the valley, and it's just so beautiful. And nature is very healing. And the peacefulness and the solitude is what is healing for me. Now, some people that go through a loss, a very deep loss, of losing their life companion, they need family to be with them. They need friends. It makes them feel better. And that's fine, to each his own. But Richard and I have always lived a quiet life for a very, very long time. And I'm not doing anything to change that. In fact, the quietness and the solitude has allowed me to remember so many wonderful times that we had together. And I'm thinking going all the way back, maybe 30 years, 40 years, when we used to ride our horses from the ranch all the way to the beach. And there was nobody around at that time. It was around 1981, 1982. It was, you know, no traffic, anything. You could ride horses all the way from here and there'd be a horse path that would take you all the way to the beach, and it would be an all-day adventure. We'd start out kind of early in the morning, and we wouldn't get back until late, around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And I just remember that with such love, and it meant so much to me, because when I was a little girl, all I ever dreamed about was being able to have a horse. Nowadays, I don't know what little girls dream of, you know, but it's not nature and it's not horses, unfortunately. But, you know, with my generation, I'm 70 now. You know, me and my girlfriends, that's all we ever dreamed of is horseback riding and having a horse. I mean, that was it. I mean, that was like, oh my gosh, if you could have a horse, it was everything. And I went to a very it's very well known parochial, private, very, very wealthy school, Sidwell Friends in Washington, D.C. It's where all the senators send their kids. Even Obama sent his kids to Sidwell Friends. The Kennedys sent their kids to Sidwell Friends. You know, I went to Sidwell Friends, and back in the early 1960s, I remember being on the school bus, and we'd be dropping off, you know, the school bus would be dropping off the kids, and they'd be dropping these kids off at places that were these huge mansions. I mean, like gated mansions, you know, places that had 3 pools, an indoor pool and an outdoor pool and a golf course and this and that, you know, so that there was a lot of wealth in Washington, D.C. going all the way back at that time in the early 1960s. We weren't wealthy like that, but, you know, we were moderately, you know, wealthy, which allowed us, my parents, to afford Sidwell Friends for me and my brother. And, but where was I going with that? When childhood friends is where I was going. And I remember my best friend Jan Canyon, and we loved horses, and we used to play horses. Like, one of us would be the horse and the other one would be the other, you know, the driver or whatever. And I remember there was a special event, and 2 of the little girls are our age, you know, they invited, it was a big party. And this was it had to have been out in Virginia, and this huge horse ranch, um, where they had like all the stalls uh, with these, thoroughbred horses, and the land just went on and on and on, and we were allowed to ride, one of the horses around, this little corral and everything. That was like the most exciting thing. But I'm talking about these people were multimillionaires back in the early 1960s, and I got a little glimpse of that, and when I was a child, and I thought, wow, look how these people live. Um, but horses was the big thing, and I never thought that that dream would come true, but it did with Richard, because he loved horses, and he ended up, that was the main reason he wanted a ranch, so he could have a horse ranch. And so that was like I was reflecting on that now. If I had been busy socializing, or people had been coming over, or if I went out, I would have missed that memory. That memory would not have come to me. But because I was quiet and in solitude, I was able to reflect back and have these flashbacks, which, mean a lot to me, to have these memories come back to me, of all the wonderful things that Richard and I used to do together. As we got older, we were fine with our solitude, just living, our quiet life and doing our routine here. And I'm just making this video to let you know that don't let anybody pressure you into thinking that, oh, you're all alone now. Now you need to find someone. You need to go out and kick off your shoes and get out there and live your life, because time is of the essence. Yeah, screw that. It's okay if you enjoy being alone with yourself and having your own conversation with yourself, and talking with yourself, and talking to your loved one. I'm not sure if Richard hears me or not, but I do talk with him. And I need that time, that quiet time, the solitude time, for myself. It's very important for having that time also to do creative things. And there are people that, as I said, they do better through the mourning and the grieving to have family and to have friends and to go out. And I have to admit, when I go out and I do some shopping, if I go to the market and I talk to some people, and it kind of makes me, it gives me a balance. It makes me, feel like, okay, that was good. I got to chat with some people. But, when I got home, it doesn't feel lonely to me. I do feel at times, of course, I'm missing Richard. And that does bring in a sense of loneliness. But I think I would feel far more lonely if I were, kind of forced to be with people, and really not wanting to be in that situation, and then coming back and feeling like everything got turned upside down with your energy. And I mean, I can give you kind of an example. Like, there was a friend I was on the phone with, and she just went rambling on and rambling on. Kind of reminded me of my mom. My mom used to do that. She used to just use me as to dump all of her complaints and everything into my brain. She didn't care to have a conversation. It was just having someone to dump all her stuff, and she had to do all the talking and forget about, having a conversation. And it would take me literally like 2 or 3 days to clear my mind and get my balance back. after being on the phone, like sometimes way over an hour, sometimes 2 hours. And, she was lonely, I'm sure, all by herself. She needed someone to talk to. So I let her just talk as long as she wanted to talk. But it was going into my brain. And it took, and there was a lot of complaints and this and that and the other. And it just went on and on. And it took time for me to unwind from all of that. I absolutely refuse to listen to the corporate news. I do not want to hear it. I don't want to come anywhere near NPR. I used to love NPR. 20 years ago, NPR was really, it was a place to tune into for all kinds of interesting things, for learning about new books, about movies, reviews, and the politics was somewhat in a balance. It wasn't just all one side. Now it's just like NBC, CBS. It's all, one, big machine with all their anger and division and their hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump. You might as well just, okay, let's hear the, on 1984, where you had the hate hour, right? Everybody had to come into the auditorium, and they show the picture of forget who his name was, Goldstein or whatever it was, and they show the picture of him, and everybody would be ah, 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 ah. Well, okay, well, that's what's going on with the media, only it's not 1 hour of hate. It's 24/7 since when? Since 2016. Whether I like Trump or not like him, I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want to hear it anymore, So I just stay away from all of that. It's just designed to get you upset. It's designed to get you angry. And it's designed to divide people up. And it is especially designed, and they know what they're doing, they want to create chaos. Because when there's chaos, then you lose the stability in the country, you lose the unity, and it's more easier to control people when everything is chaotic. So that's deliberate, and it's intentional. And anybody that falls into that, I feel sorry for you. Falling in, you really should turn that crap off. You should just turn it off. Watch a good movie that you love, or a good, series, TV series that you love. But shut off all that corporate news, media, craziness, because it's not healthy for you. So I don't listen to any of that stuff. I stopped listening to it a long time ago. There's a couple little videos that I will listen to that I feel like I'm getting good information about. I don't want to be completely ignorant about what's going on. I want to be informed, but I'm trying to be, somewhat selective about that. And I do want to hear all sides. It's not like I want to shut off whatever side they're saying. I like to try to hear what they're saying once in a while. I can only take it for so long. But I say that because at least I'm trying to draw from all different sources. Whereas my Democrat friends will refuse. They absolutely refuse to hear anything else. It's got to be their way or the highway, And that's why I left the Democrat Party. They didn't used to be that way. They used to be open to different opinions and perspectives. They would hear the Republican side, and they would have rational discussions, and it wouldn't be, if you dare even whisper the word Trump, I'm going to take my fist now and go for your jugular. It's just crazy stuff, this Trump derangement syndrome. It's still going on. And the media is pumping it up. And they won't stop. They'll never stop doing that, okay? because the people that are behind the scenes, the investors of the corporate media, are enemies of the United States and they're enemies of Israel. So you're not going to hear any, positive, not even 1 centimeter of a second positive word about Trump from any of these corporate networks, because they're owned by globalists that want to destroy the economy of the United States and take it down, and they want this one world, totalitarian governance, because it's easier for them that way. It's easier for them to have control over the people. It's easier for them to do surveillance on us. It's easier for them to make a ton of money and to be the only ones to have all the money if it's a one world, order. And that's where they were moving, and Trump stood in their way. He's getting in their way. He's stopping it from happening. And that's why, and they're the ones that own the media. And that's why the media is attacking Trump so harshly and critically since 2016. They don't want anybody that is trying to protect sovereign countries. The whole idea is to get rid of sovereign countries. And I talked about that in a previous video, and I'm not going to go into it again. I'm just saying that, I try to listen to other perspectives and be open. But, the Democrats, I can't even relate to them anymore. And I was a Democrat all my life, and I don't understand their vicious hatred, and their anger is just like I got a little glimpse of Carville. He used to be a funny guy with I don't know. He used to be a decent, I thought, human being. Now you listen to him, and he sounds like he just broke free from a mental institution and needs to go back. And somehow he escaped. And just wacko, So, it's not worth it. I like my solitude. Don't let anybody tell you that you should, do this or do that if you don't want to. Don't make them feel guilty, okay? Don't let them make you feel guilty. If you don't want to go do this or do that or have this person over or that person, just tell them, no, I need to have my time to myself. And they might get mad, or they might accept it and be fine with it. But, I just feel that it's important for me to have this time to myself, and it feels good. I'm happy about that. That's the one thing that does give me some happiness. And not happy like, I'm not happy the way I was when I was with Richard, but I just feel content is more the word, okay? It brings me contentment. All right, thank you for listening, everyone. And if you're 60 or 70 or over and people keep pushing you, you need to go out on a date. You need to have a new boyfriend. You need to meet, and you don't want to, and you're just content where things are, having your peace and quietude and doing your own thing. Don't let anybody push you around like that. Just go with how you feel. Okay? Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.